I'm James Myers, and this is your YouTube channel for real estate information in the city of Barrie, Ontario. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and tap the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video. We have been doing this self-isolation, social distancing thing for about 3 weeks now, just over 3 weeks. We're starting in our 4th week right now. It feels like it's been going on for so long. The days are kind of blending together. I don't know what day it is. I have to look at my phone to figure out what day it is. Here in Barrie, Ontario, businesses started closing on March 17th. And slowly, more and more businesses are closing, and now we're just down to essential services. So this video is to tell you a little bit about how real estate sales have been impacted in Ontario. In Ontario, we have been declared an essential service. Real estate brokerages, real estate salespeople are essential services according to the Ontario government. Now, the Ontario Real Estate Association says even though we have been declared an essential service, it is not business as usual. I'm going to read from an email that we got from OREA, Ontario Real Estate Association, on March 24th about being declared an essential service. It does not mean business as usual. All realtors should stop face-to-face business, including open houses, in-person showings, and maintaining agents and public office hours. Now, the government gave the essential label to real estate to permit transactions to close, not to allow members to carry on with normal business practices during a crisis. All members should be moving to remote work, full stop. So that means no showing houses to people who want to get a feel for the market, go out and see a few houses before they put their own house on the market, or if somebody is currently renting an apartment or a house and they want to buy their first house, get into the real estate market. None of that. If you have a house that you're living in, whether you're renting or you own a house, and you can live there perfectly fine for the next few months or however long this lasts, just stay put. No kicking tires. 2 weekends ago, like the weekend before this past weekend, was the first time I had ever seen no open houses all across Canada. I checked on Realtor.ca and there were no open houses all across Canada. Now this past week, the provincial government has come right out and said it's a law, no more open houses. Personally, I don't do open houses. I don't feel they are a good way to get a house sold. I haven't done one in years. What they are good for though is for agents to pick up buyers from. Some agents are very good at getting buyers from open houses. So this is going to affect agents that use open houses for that reason. But there are situations where people really do need to be in the real estate market or they could end up homeless. Maybe they have sold their house. They sold their house in January or February with a long closing into May, thinking, oh, I'll just wait until the spring market when there's more houses on the market. And now their house is sold. We have a pandemic. They still have to find a house to go to and close it by the original closing date. Or another situation is somebody has already purchased a house and they need to sell their existing house. I've seen this a couple of times recently. Somebody bought a house, all well and good, thought, oh, we'll just sell our house, it'll sell quickly, and then pandemic comes along. So they're scrambling to get their house sold. Luckily that one's sold, they're fine, closings worked out. Another situation I know of, somebody bought a brand new pre-construction house, a house to be built by a builder, and they have to sell their old house before they buy it. Builder hasn't started building their house yet, so they're okay because that purchase is going to be delayed as well, but they have to sell their existing house. Turns out now in Ontario, they cannot start any more new construction builds. They can finish what's already been started, but they cannot start any new builds. So those people are just going to have to work with their builder and find a new closing date sometime in the future and sell their house at the appropriate time. And the stress of worrying about being homeless, if you haven't found a place to go yet, or carrying 2 mortgages if you haven't sold your existing house yet, that all can be pretty overwhelming. No viewing houses until you are absolutely certain that's a house for you. Watch the virtual tour. Some agents are doing a thing called a Matterport tour. It gives you a very good feel for what the house is like. It's like a 3D animation, not animation, but a 3D walkthrough of a house. That'll give you a very good idea of what a house is like inside. In the private realtor remarks in some listings, we're seeing comments like, no in-person viewings until an accepted offer is in place. So you would make an offer conditional upon viewing the house or okaying it or whatever. You would make it conditional for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, as well as your regular conditions of financing and home inspection. I know that some military people are used to buying a house remotely, from virtual tour, from pictures. But the general public is probably not going to want to buy a house that way. They're going to want to see it in person before they actually pull the trigger on it. Some agents I've seen are limiting times for showings, say between Thursday between 2 and 5 is the only time you can show this house. Here are some of the things my company, LePage First Contact Realty, is doing to protect buyers and sellers. Every person who goes through the house, whether a buyer or buyer's agent, must fill out a declaration stating they have not been out of the country in 14 days, haven't been in contact with somebody who has coronavirus, are in general good overall health condition, no respiratory problems, fever, coughing. There's a few other things on that list as well. Also, there are instructions for when you are actually viewing the house, inside the house. The lights will be left on when you get there. Don't touch the light switches, leave the lights on when you leave. The doors, closet doors, bedroom doors, cupboard doors will be open when you get there. Don't touch them, leave them open when you leave. Do not use the bathroom. Do not bring children through the house. Do not bring any unnecessary visitors. Only the buyer and the buyer's agent are to be in the house for the viewing. You can't bring your uncle who's bought and sold 3 or 4 houses, or your parents or anybody else. Just the buyer and the buyer's agent are to be there for a viewing. A couple of random thoughts here. To all the Airbnb investors out there, I feel sorry for you. I know I've heard of people buying 3, 4, 5 properties to rent out on Airbnb because it can be very lucrative. You rent out your house or your condo for $100 or $150 a night for a whole house times 30 months, and factor in a vacancy rate in there. I don't know how many nights they would actually rent it per month, but they can make a lot of money doing Airbnb. I've heard it does well. Well, right now Airbnb is down the toilet. People are sitting there with vacant houses, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses, whatever, and they have no income to pay those mortgages. As far as I know, banks have not given any mortgage forgiveness on, or any mortgage breaks or anything for investment properties. I don't even know if the banks in Canada are doing anything for homeowners for mortgage break. But Airbnb investors, man, they're toast. They have no income, because in that income they can't even get it back. Like a regular renter who's renting a house per month, they might be short on the rent, and they might be able to make up a little bit in the future. You might get partial rent from a regular monthly tenant, but Airbnbs are getting nothing. I expect we are going to see more power sale properties come on the market in the next 4, 6, 12 months. Now, for those of you who are watching this from outside of Canada, power sale is basically the same as a foreclosure. Guy doesn't pay his mortgage, bank comes along and takes the house. United States, it's called foreclosure. REOs, or real estate owned, or whatever you call it down in the United States. In Canada, it's power of sale. Just legally, it's different than a foreclosure. But it's the same basic thing. You don't pay your mortgage, you lose your house. Years ago, we used to see quite a few power sales on the market at any given time. Like, you could look on the market and there'd be 10 or 15 power sales. In the past 2, 3, 4 years, we haven't hardly seen any power sales. And I think that's going to change when people can't pay their mortgage because they're laid off. 2 people in a household who bought the house with 10% down or 5% down and have no income now and don't have any savings, they're a real risk of losing that house. Well, there's a bit of information for you about what's happening in the real estate market during this pandemic of spring 2020. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button down below.